The Tarran T1 Pro. It's a cargo bike's cyclist dreams coming true. Well, Tarran is a brand new brand, and when I'm producing this review, this bike is not even available. You can pre-order it, but it's not available yet. And I have the honor to present it to you. So I was testing it for the last couple of weeks, and in my opinion, Tarran did listen to every single wish cargo bike cyclists with a long john were dreaming of or wishing for, and probably they read all the comments underneath some reviews, because this bicycle is loaded with so many features, smartness, and of course components and accessories that have really high quality. So therefore, whenever you think, my cargo bike should have, this bike, the T1 Pro, has it. Just to give you an example what this review will look like, to give you a dimension, whenever as a mother I had my kids or my son's friend in the front of the cargo bike, I was thinking, oh, they're having so much fun, I wish I could take a picture. You can, because there's a selfie camera located just here, and with my with my complex remote on the handlebars, I can just take a selfie, and the data, it's located right here, and with the app I have the picture on my camera on my mobile phone afterwards. And there are more cameras and sensors located, so whenever a car is approaching and is becoming too close, I get a vibration in the handlebars and a warning signal in my dashboard. So this is just to give you an example. But of course, the most surprising and thing I was hoping for is the dynamic dual drive system. And just have a quick look. So I push the P on my little remote. So, and now, for example, like the main parking is resolved, and then I just push my little arrow up, and the two landing gears were taking up. Because this gives you like the whole freedom of loading the bike, and 2 children can be really heavy, and it happened to me, as I told you, when I had my children in my urban arrow for I think 2 times. My bike fell on the ground with the children inside. Nothing happened, and they thought it was hilarious, but I was really afraid. And it can become really difficult to get a cargo bike from the bike stand. But oops. And now, I mean, what you can do is really still steer the bicycle with this little help. And this landing gear system, so the tiny wheels you see, so you can just leave the bike like that with the landing gears even half deployed. And you can even load the bike in the cargo box with something heavy, but of course less than 65 kilograms. But I want to park it completely. There it is. But before we dive deeper into all the other features and the smartness of this bicycle, how does it drive? So I really like what Tarran choose concerning components. They're using a Gates carbon belt drive, which is, in my opinion, the best carbon belt drive you can get on the market, and belt drives last up to 3 times longer than regular chains, so up to 30,000 kilometers. And actually they are very diva free, so they do not need so much attention. Just maybe every now and then with a damp cloth you have to clean them if they're really dirty, but there's no grease, no oil involved, and they do not lengthen like a chain does. So definitely a really good choice. And you can go to like every bike shop if the belt needs service, or if you have to change it after 30,000 kilometers, that's no problem at all. The motor is located in the middle, and it's an own production. So therefore, if something's wrong with the motor, you have to contact Tarran. I cannot tell you, as the brand is brand new, cannot tell you how the support is, but from my understanding and my contact with the brand and with the management, they are very enthusiastic to help you. And there's also the plan to have a dealer network within Europe, especially. Also, I know that very busy in Germany finding bike shops to sell and service their bicycles. The motor in the middle gives you a very natural riding experience, because if it's located in the back, you feel a bit being pushed, and if it's in the front, you're more like being pulled. But in the middle, it's very natural, especially in combination with the torque sensor. So the harder you push the pedal, the more support you get. Very natural, because this is what happens even without a motor. The frame geometry feels very compact and agile. It reminds me a bit of riding the carry from Riese and Müller. So in the beginning I had to get used to it, because if I want to turn right or left, it's very responsive, but I got used to it like after a couple of meters. This sitting position for me is very upright. That's what I like, because then I see what's happening around me, and you can really adjust like how you want to sit. If you're more sportive, you can adjust the height, because there's a quick release, but you can also change the angle, how the handlebars is. And for me, it's not very upright. It's what I like. I also can see what is happening around me when I have a look at my display, because there are cameras involved with this bicycle, especially when I use the turning signals. When I go left, I see what's happening behind me. The same when I try to go to the right side, I see what's happening behind me. And also there are some sensors involved. And if there's a car or a fellow cycling buddy close to me, then I have signals that also show me if it's on the left or on the right, or if it's coming from the back. I was just cycling through a crowd of mix of cyclists and pedestrians, and there was a lot of noise happening here because it was so crowded. The motor has 100 Newton meters of torque. That is very strong and very powerful, but you need that because the bike itself is very, very heavy. And I tried to ride this bicycle without any support, without no pedal assistance, and it was really heavy. So it was a lot of workout for me in my legs. But there are 5 modes of pedal assistance in total, like Eco, Auto, Sport, Normal and Turbo. And most of the time I was cycling in Sport and in Turbo, especially when there were inclines. And actually that's something I do very rarely, because most manufacturers give you a lot of support even in the lower modes of pedal assistance. But actually I like this, because even though I do cycle or ride e-bikes, I also want to work out and do something for my conditions, and for my muscles. So I prefer actually that I'm most of the time in the sport mode. The Tarran T1 Pro is equipped with the Anviolo heavy-duty gearing system, and this system is very special indeed because it is stepless, so you always find the right gear. My bikes that I love the most, they are all equipped with the Anviolo. And you hear it in the name, the heavy duty, it is specially made for cargo bikes. And this is something you have to keep in mind if you do buy a cargo bike and an e-bike. You have to check, just imagine you're cycling very slow. You need gears for driving slow, and you always want gears that work really well when you cycle 25 kilometers or even faster. And with the Anviolo heavy duty, you are very well equipped. The hydraulic disc brakes work really, really well. They are from TRP, and I mean, this bicycle is really of a really good quality, of a high quality, very reliable from what I can say. And the hydraulic disc brakes definitely fit into this overall performance and experience that I made so far. Okay, attention. I will ring the bell. so funny. I mean, you can choose from so many different ringtones. But to be honest, I thought it's nice because now I'm at the River Elbe, and water is very important in Hamburg, but nobody actually understood that it was the bell I was ringing. But I mean, I have my mouth, I can communicate with people. I also appreciate that there is really cool suspension because I was cycling over really bad cobblestone and it was okay. I could just sit on the saddle and it felt still very comfortable. And especially with the Schwalbe tires, they choose especially tires for cargo bikes. So yeah, you can really do a lot of tours and commute within the city where there's also lying a lot of glass or stones around. You're very well protected. I mean, I told you there are cameras involved in this bicycle, and one camera, I think it's a really nice feature because you can take some pictures or even little small video clips from your children when they're sitting in the front. So that's something actually that I was never able to do because as a mother I was cycling and my children were having like lots of fun. So that's actually a really nice, really cute feature in my opinion. I think also pretty cool, of course, are the Bluetooth speakers that are located within the bucket, so to say, and the quality is actually not too bad. So you can become like a rolling disco or a rolling club. And yeah, I liked it a lot because I don't like 95% of the times I don't have headphones in my ears because I also see with my ears when I'm cycling. Another really nice feature are the two little compartments also integrated in the bucket. And they are not lockable yet, maybe that will happen in the future, but I really like that. Because that's something not so many manufacturers offer. I know Riese and Müller does, but definitely it's something that I appreciate. I was trying to see how fast I could go and I managed up to 27 kilometers. So up to 25, it's allowed in the EU to get support from the motor, but I wasn't really able to get much higher, even when I was in the turbo mode of pedal assistance and in the highest gear. So I'm not sure if that's connected to the motor or if I am just too weak. I also like the whole lighting situation. So there's like the whole front has one fully equipped with lights and you can choose between two different brightnesses. So one is like the normal light, I would say, and then also you do have an option for a much brighter light. And the turning signals, that is very special. So when you use the turning signals, they are seen in the back, in the rear, but also here at the end of the bucket. Also very cool when I use the turning signals, I don't have to turn my head because sometimes, especially when it's the bicycle is loaded very heavy, could be a point or circumstances that you don't feel so safe. Especially when you don't know if there's maybe coming a lorry from the back. So that's absolutely like a cool feature. I mean, there are so many features that you find in EVs or in like very modern cars. Of course, I wanted to show you as well how this bike feels and behaves when it's loaded, as my son is too tall and too big and he also has to go to school when I'm filming. So I took like 2 crates of, I think, apple spritz and water, so it's pretty heavy, just to see how the bicycle feels when it's really fully loaded. I had groceries in the bike, and to be honest, due to the fact that there is no bench installed, I do have the bench, but it doesn't make sense to use it. It's like I couldn't even fill it up. I mean, the whole family, I think I had like 4 big bags full of groceries and there was still some space left in the bicycle. And now with those 2 crates, there's even enough room for, I'd say, another 2 bags for groceries. And the cool thing is, the bicycle feels very stable, very cool, and due to the suspension in the front and in the back, even attention, when I'm going up and down a stoop or on the pavement, there's a teeny tiny sound you hear, but it's very smooth still. So that's something I'm not used to because my Urban Arrow does not have any suspension. It's a very old one. But this actually feels really cool and feels like an upgrade. And of course, because the two crates are pretty heavy, you feel that all the weight is a bit lower and the bike feels a bit different, but yet more stable in a way. Is that correct? More stable? Not sure. It feels a bit different, but in a good way. I would definitely recommend, if you're going for a test ride for a cargo bike, please have a test ride, load it and also unload it, because the bikes do feel different. But in case of the Tarran, feels good, like it a lot. And of course, I can still go really, really fast. And now, loaded, let's depark. That's the new word that I created when I was introduced to the Tarran. So let's see. Pushing the P, whoops, and all the way up. Easy, easy. No falling over, no tripping, easy. That is really an evolution. Well done. I mean it literally, it's so cool. So the very feeling of having a very compact bike is possible to the dual cables that are underneath and helps you to steer, and you can reach, as you can see, up to like almost 90 degrees. So this is compared to an Urban Arrow, for example, something very, very cool and very nice feature. If we want to dive deeply into all the smartness and features, we have to have a closer look at the remote that is here on the handlebars. And I've never had so many buttons to push with an e-bike. But in the beginning, I really had to get used to it and like, okay, what do I have to push for activating the dynamic dual drive system? But I got used to it pretty quickly. So, of course, I already showed you how to depark, so how to activate the dual dynamic parking system. But then, of course, you also have two different lights, two brightnesses. So you have a high and a low beam. So I would always recommend to, of course, cycle with a low beam, because everything that increases your visibility, in my opinion, is a very nice feature. Of course, you do have turning signals in the front and here in the back, and they automatically switch off. That's also something other manufacturers do not offer. And of course, besides the rear light, you of course have braking lights. So everything that we know from like the automotive sector. So whenever someone is approaching, you can just see what is happening behind you. And there's also a sensor involved. So when a car comes too close, you get a signal. It's a vibration in the handlebars and also a warning signal. Same is if something is coming too close from the sides. So that's the only thing after 12 years of cycling a cargo bike, my Urban Arrow, that's something where I always still feel insecure when I have to turn, because there is a blind spot and I really have to turn really far to see what's happening. But due to the fact that I do have cameras and I have assistance now in my little dashboard, it really helps me. Though that it was something, of course, I really had to get used to it, but it was pretty cool. Also speaking about security, but in this time, if you're afraid that maybe theft could be a problem, of course you can lock your bicycle. Thing missing now, but I think they will put it on the series, is that you do have a little lock. But you can, of course, switch on your bike, but you do have an extra NFC card, or you use my mobile phone, and there's a sensor integrated here where you can unlock your bicycle. Other cool things, of course, there is Bluetooth involved, and I can choose from my different songs, and there's I can turn the music on, make it louder, quieter with a little speaker down here, and the quality is really excellent. You do have your little bell. that is digital, and you can choose different settings. If you go to lights and sounds, you can choose, of course, the different light settings, but you can also choose from different bell sounds. Ding duo. Oh, I have to turn it up. Cowbell. Rooster. Sheep. Metal soft. I tend to choose the ship as I'm in Hamburg and we do have a big harbor, but no one really knew that I was ringing my bell. But that's okay. You can of course connect your mobile phone and you can load your mobile phone wireless here. And then you can of course see the navigation on your little dashboard. You also have all the other information you need, how the battery is loaded, how fast you are, what mode of pedal assist you're in, what songs you're listening to, so you can individualize what you're seeing. And of course I see in what mode of a parking situation I'm in. So if the if everything is on the floor, for example. The bike has 2 batteries and the battery lock is located here in the bucket. Did you hear it? Because there is a little button that I can push and then it opens automatically. I do have 1 battery with 708 watt hours, but if you do have the capacity or if you want more reach or more range, you can have those dual batteries. Then you can cycle up to 200 kilometers with 1 battery, 100 kilometers. That is something the manufacturer says, so Tarran. I would always say it depends on how heavy you are, how much the load is it summer, is it winter, so that all can of course have influence on your range. Well, all of the different components at this T1 Pro are high quality. The only thing I'm not 100% sure of is the motor, because it is an own production, own development, and it's brand new, so I don't have any experience or comments or reviews I can do research on. But from what I can see, the other hardware and the own operating system, so this bike has an own OS, it's all very valid and very solid. So I would expect the motor as well to be superb. Maybe if we stick to the hardware, as you can see, there's a very interesting frame design, and this includes the rear rack with a mix system, and you can load an extra child seat on it or other accessories, and the maximum capacity is 25 kilograms. Capacity. Of course, this e-bike is perfect for families because you do have a high quality bench for 2 children. And as my son is too large, he didn't fit in properly, but I do have the bench and I did expect it to be perfect, and the quality was really fantastic. So you can, Tarran says, transport 2 children up to the height of 126 centimeters. So I would say this is like maybe grade 4 primary school. And you do have also little bags that you can install here, so for little snacks or toys, it's like a super easy to store. Also, of course, available is a canopy, so your valuable goods that you transport are protected, and there are different options and accessories for protection. I would recommend to check out the website. Maybe one last word to the whole suspension. So there's a suspension seat post, the suspension that is very obvious that you can see here, but there's also suspension in the front, so the whole riding experience is really nice. The bike is suitable for riders starting from 155 centimeters up to 195 centimeters, so it could be for the whole family. And what I really like is that you can easily adjust the height of the saddle, but not with a quick release, because quick release of course is super easy, but your seat post and your saddle can be stolen because they can just be taken away. Happened in Hamburg a lot. There are 3 different frame colors. They're all matte finished and have very technical but yet very beautiful color options, as you can see on the website. The price of this bicycle is more or less 7,000 euros, depending on what components you want and accessories. So definitely something like Urban Arrow or Riese and Müller high quality e-bike. Of course, this bicycle can also be tracked. It does have a GPS tracking system. Overall, this bicycle is crazy. If I forgot a single feature, I may be excused because it is so much. Also check maybe down in the description. I'll link you to the website and leave even maybe more information. But if you liked our channel and this review, give us a thumbs up and please subscribe.